What's up, everybody? We're back.
Yeah! Hey, welcome back to a Metalhead's Journey. Hey, we're continuing our trek down the top 50 metal albums list of all time. We have arrived at number 6. This is an all-time classic, obviously, as is number 6. Probably should be higher, but that's okay. We got Ozzy Osbourne here showing up with his first album, The Blizzard of Ozz. Yeah, so, this is exciting time, man. We had Diary of a Madman before. I believe it was number 19. Criminally underrated. Should not have been ranked that low. It should have been up here somewhere in the top 10. But I think that was more the Randy record. I think this is more of an Ozzy record. I don't know. What'd you guys think? I know, Dave, you were stupid and didn't like Randy Rhoads.
Look. Okay. Look, you're going to make people downvote this video early. What I said is I'm not sure.
Dave, let me stop you right quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Because you said a lot of things.
I did.
You said a lot of things. So I just, let's see if you actually say what you said.
I said Randy Rhoads was overrated. Ultimately,
that's about the gist of it.
Yeah, ultimately, okay. And look, we will never know what he was truly able to do because he was tragically taken from us at such a young age.
Yeah. This guy's name is David, and he lives in Houston, just so you know. All right. Well, hey, let's talk about Ozzy's first record here, and let's get going. All right. Like we said, this is Ozzy, Blizzard of Ozz, number 6 on the list here. John Michael Ozzy Osbourne, born December 3rd, 1948, is an English singer. Ozzy became a founding member of Black Sabbath in 1968. You want to debate it right now? Yeah, Dave, he is a singer. Let's talk about it.
Go ahead. No, you're doing a great job.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Ozzy became a founding member of Black Sabbath in 1968 as their singer. Ozzy sings on 9 Sabbath records, including their most recent album, 13. Ozzy was dismissed from Sabbath as their singer in 1979 due to an alcohol and drug problem. The following year, Ozzy put together a new band, and he released his first record, Blizzard of Ozz. Since then, Ozzy's released 12 studio records, sold over 100 million records. He's been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Black Sabbath. Blizzard of Ozz, released in 1980, is Ozzy's first studio record. The album is the first of 2 records featuring guitar virtuoso, not overrated, Randy Rhoads. The rest of the lineup for the album featured Bob Daisley on bass and being the primary lyric writer, Lee Kerslake on drums, and Don Airey on keyboards. The album peaked at number 21 on the Billboard chart and is generally regarded as a classic metal album. The album featured 2 singles, Crazy and Mr. Crowley. All right.
Sounds just like
Dave, since you so rudely interrupted my notes here, why don't you go ahead and tell me why you think Ozzy's not a singer? Go ahead. Remember, this guy lives in Houston, just so you know.
Okay, so look, I stand by this. I think anything Ozzy's been a part of, he is the least interesting part of that project, and that could be a testament to the people he surrounds himself with. Whether that's the epic riffs of Tony Iommi or the numerous guitar players that he surrounds himself with in his solo act.
You're totally just going to gloss over Randy Rhoads right there. Okay.
I said the numerous guitarists in his solo act. Randy Rhoads played on 2 of his albums. Yes, you're correct. And he's had Zakk Wylde. He's had... I'm blanking on the guy who took over after Randy Rhoads. Jakey Lee. Yeah, Jakey Lee. And some other ones, I'm sure. Gus G barely. Gus G just played whatever they told him to play. He didn't really write anything. But what I'm saying is, Ozzy is very good at surrounding himself with people who are exceptional at what they do. Okay? Because of that, I think he is the least interesting part of the bands that he's in, for that reason. Geezer Butler, like all the musicians he surrounds himself with, I think are just more interesting than he is. I think his voice is unique and iconic, sure, but that's basically it. Like everyone else in his bands are better musicians than he is.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's nobody's debating the quality musicianship versus Ozzy on that, but we're talking about the fact that Ozzy has this voice that you can pick out of anywhere. Like it's so unique to him.
I said he's
so
unique.
unique to his style. I know, but you're shitting on him. And it's so unique to his style of music. Like his vocals made Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath is not this scary metal band if they don't have Ozzy's vocal style in there.
I would never disagree with that. But I think he's still, of the 4 members of Black Sabbath, he's the least interesting one of the 4. I think the other 3, like, I'm going to be honest.
Kind of like you're the least interesting of our 4.
Yeah, exactly. I think the other 3 guys carry Ozzy in Black Sabbath. That's just me.
So I actually, Dave, I actually don't disagree with you, but I mean, I love Ozzy. I mean, that doesn't mean I don't like Ozzy. But
And I've never said I don't like Ozzy. I mean,
So-
Josh just asked my opinion.
the company he keeps is elite. So
Agreed.
I mean, I guess he's gonna look not as great as them, I suppose. But like, look at just this album alone. I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead here, but like,
Now let's jump into it. Let's jump into musicality.
okay, well, just as Josh was saying, his iconic voice, like, dude, who the fuck else is gonna do Mr. Crowley, or Revelation on this album? I mean, it's got to be Ozzy, bro. Like, it's got to be, and I think it's not, maybe it's not every song that he's like the greatest in, sure, but I mean, he has his moments for sure, in my opinion. For me, I would say that it's pretty obvious that Randy Rhoads is the standout here. I've probably been jamming this since I was in the womb, or my brothers before me as well. So yeah, I mean, I fucking love listening to Randy Rhoads. I think the bass player Bob Daisley, is it?
Yes.
Trying to catch his name. What he comes in on I don't know, dude. It's just it's so fucking good.
Great bass line.
Yeah. But yeah, no, good stuff. The drums didn't really do a whole lot for me on this one. I mean, they're fucking great on Crazy Train. But I mean, the drummer is what's the drummer's name? Lee something or the other. Okay. Was he the same drummer from the previous album?
Well, this is the first
album.
Oh shit! Is he also the drummer on the next album?
On Diary of a Madman, I believe so.
Yeah. Okay, I think he shows up more on that one for sure.
Yeah, especially at the intro to Flying High Again.
Over the mountain.
Over the mountain. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Look, I had obviously I thought Diary of a Madman is more of the Randy Rhoads record. I thought he got a chance to shine a lot more stylistically on that one. But he obviously shows up big time on this record. But look, I got to go with my guy here. Ozzy's MVP for me on this record. He sounds so good. He's like, this is young Ozzy. He's full of life. And this album is not quite as dark. Like this one it's much more upbeat. It's got a lot of fun tracks to it. Which is not always what you associate with Ozzy. Like Ozzy's always, more of the doom metal singer and, more of the singing about the occult and some of that scary stuff. So I felt like this was like a really good, upbeat, more, positive feeling record that you don't get a lot of times from Ozzy. So that's one of the reasons why I really appreciate this record and how it really stands out from a lot of his other ones. But yeah, Randy Rhoads kills it, but I just love Ozzy, man. He sounds so good on this record.
I'll jump in. I'm going to agree. I don't have a big problem with Ozzy's voice, but I've said this before. Like I like Ozzy, but I've never
sing with any vibrato.
True, but I've never loved Ozzy enough to go buy the albums. So there's always been right on the cusp. But he has an iconic voice. I think it stands out in this album. I really like the bass player, fantastic on this album. You can hear the bass in most of the songs, but it's not over the top. It's not too far forward. It sits in the background, just sweet. I think top to bottom, I would agree that the drums don't stand out by themselves, but they don't detract in any way. So I thought the musicianship across the board is fine in this album.
Yeah. I think musicianship is very strong from the guys, from the band themselves. Randy Rhoads is the MVP for me. I'm not sure it's even close from my perspective. While I do agree, like Ozzy's vocals are super iconic on a lot of these songs. Specifically, like for me, Crazy Train, Goodbye to Romance, like it's Mr. Crowley. Like those songs are very iconic in terms of vocal performance. But Randy Rhoads is like this is his show for me. Like all the memorable moments when I think back on listening to this record are moments where Randy Rhoads is doing his thing. And not to be outshined, Bob Daisley, I think, really carries the weight in the rhythm section. I agree with Jason. I don't think Lee behind the kit really, like, he's fine. He's doing his thing, and I have nothing to say to besmirch him. But I don't know that the drums necessarily are doing anything super memorable throughout the record. Like, I think they're doing what they need to do, and they're not standing out or detracting from the situation. They're just there for me.
The exception there is, at least to me, is Crazy Train.
Yeah, Crazy Train's good.
Yeah,
on the drums.
Yeah. Well, Dave, take us into just entertainment value. What do you think of the entertainment value of the album?
So, I am thoroughly I was entertained by the record. Now, there's a few tracks that I feel like don't really fit the tone of the rest of the record, but overall, to Josh's point, the record is more fun than I think I was initially prepared for in terms of tone, right? Like it's a lot more upbeat than I think I think that was my initial problem with the record when I first listened to it. Was I really was only familiar with, like, unlike Josh and Adrian, I didn't grow up listening to this record, so I don't have any nostalgia for it. So like my only song that I was familiar with really was Crazy Train. And so, I listened to I Don't Know and Crazy Train, and like I'm pumped. I'm like, all right, here we go. Like, and then Goodbye to Romance comes on, and while I think it's a good song, it like slows the pace down so much, and then you have D that comes in right after that, which I'm like, okay, like what's happening here? And then, then things kind of pick back up for a few songs. And so, like, the pacing was kind of initially a problem for me until I became more and more familiar with the tracks and more familiar with the tone of the record. But
Goodbye to Romance is look, you got to sit with it for a little while because, like, on the first listen, it's not. I would never recommend that to anybody who's never heard Ozzy before. I guess is how I would say that. Like, I think you got to be a little bit more acquainted with Ozzy. I think you got to be a little bit more open-minded to it because it's a bit of a stretch. But I feel like the more I've heard that over the years, like I love it. So there's a cool version of it on the extended version that we're listening to on Spotify, where it's just like a guitar. And so it's kind of like the elevator version of Nothing Else Matters that Metallica did, where it's just like it's kind of a stripped back version. Super good.
So what would you? Okay, this is a real, and I mean this as a compliment. What would you think if Elton John covered that song straight up?
Oh man, I mean it'd be great. I think look, it's a great ballad that if you put that in the hands of any of these other, more
accomplished,
generic, whatever, type singers, right? Like I think they could I think it would be a lot bigger hit if it was sung by somebody other than Ozzy.
Yeah. But overall, I would say I was entertained. I mean, this is functionally 8 songs, like full songs, and it's under 40 minutes. It's a breeze to listen to. Like, you get through it real quick. So
cool. I'll go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like you said, Dave, I think for me it's a very quick listen every time. Painless. I don't have a skipper on this album. I mean, D is what it is. I mean, that my understanding is that was written for Randy Rhoads' late mother.
Yeah.
He wanted to have it on there. That's cool. Whatever. And it's less than a minute, so I don't really care. I do think that
it's just a good little piece of music too.
Yeah. I do think that, when I think nostalgia has a big part to play for me with this album because I want to rate it way higher than I feel like I should Also, when I think of getting a metal fix, I don't think of this album. This album makes me happy. So like, uh, I don't. As far as entertainment goes, obviously, if it makes me happy, it's fucking great. But this, to me, this is like a party album. I don't know. Like, I'm excited when this album is on. As for the tone and pacing, I suppose it is weird, like in a vacuum. But I mean, I like every track on this album, so I just have a blast when I listen to it.
Yeah. Jason, go ahead.
I had I'd say an interesting time for listening to this album. I went into it expecting something, I guess, more grand. I for some reason in my head I thought this was going to be like more hits, and I was only familiar with 3 of these songs, and so at first run through, I'm like, okay, this is great, kind of very similar to Dave, and then you get to Goodbye to Romance, and it's just like a screeching halt, and I'm like, okay, and then D was I don't know, and then you kind of start to get back to this, and then you get Mr. Crowley, and you're like, okay, I know this song, and then the No Bone Movies song is on next, and then you get into the next song, and that song is actually 2 songs, but it sounds like one long song. So I was all over the place. Like I was disappointed in the beginning, so it wasn't very entertaining. I do think that if I spent more time with this, I could probably like more of the songs on here. But I did come around on some of them, and I would say that the entertainment value well, it was okay. I don't know if I would jam this start to finish. For me, there's a few songs right now where I just don't want to listen to them. They're not exactly skippers, but I'd have to be in the mood for them. But I do think this album is probably better with time. And if I had been
I
more
agree with
familiar
that.
with this album, like Josh and Adrian, like since birth or whatever, I probably would like every song on here over time.
I think the reverence that this album holds, and I will be honest, it's very unfair to judge it based on that. But I do think the reverence of this record raised expectations. At least I'm just going to speak for myself. It raised expectations for me going into it that I do agree with Jason. Like initially weren't met. But I do think with time, because the more I listened to this record, the more I enjoyed it, and the more I came around on songs that I initially wasn't as high on. So, yeah. So I'm just saying, I say that to agree with Jason.
Yeah. I think obviously I think Ozzy is certainly an acquired taste, right? Like, when I started listening to Ozzy when I was however old I was, 10, 11, 12 or whatever, like I had to hear a song to get me into it, right? So like No More Tears was the first song that I really heard from Ozzy where I was like, oh, okay, like this is kind of opening a door for me, and then it turned into the entire catalog, right? But it's a little bit of an acquired taste, and it's hard especially if you're not super familiar with the record, it's hard to digest it and I think appreciate it in a week's time. Jason and I were talking about something when we came on here about he was expecting more hits on the record. And, Ozzy, it's kind of like, look, I think Ozzy's greatest hits, I think you could put against anybody out there. I think you can find 10 to 12 Ozzy greatest hit songs that you could put on there that would slay. Okay. But yeah, I mean, look, he does have like the Bark at the Moon record. Like, look, I love the record. I think there's a lot of good tracks on it, but most people would just go to Bark at the Moon, take that off of there, put that on like greatest hits record and keep it moving. Right, like he's got some other records that are a little bit strange, and that aren't good all the way through. Honestly, this is not one of them though. This record's a fucking killer, top to bottom. I love every track on it. Incredibly entertaining for me. Adrian, kind of the same thing. Like, it does make me happy. So this is when I need a fix. Like, this is one of the albums I go to just to jam a little bit, just to kind of pick me up. So, with that, let me get into top tracks here. So. Obviously hard to narrow down to 3, so I did 4. I have an honorable mention here for Goodbye to Romance. Again, classic ballad, It gets better with time. I loved revisiting and re-listening to this. I hadn't really listened to this song in a little while. Number 3 for me, and this one, like Mr. Crowley, on the record for a long time, I was like, I didn't dig it as much. But Ozzy, I've seen Ozzy live like 15 times, and this song absolutely crushes live. It's so good. And so now anytime I hear it, I just think about how I feel when I see it live, and it just makes me happy, makes me feel good. So Suicide Solution at number 2, just a fucking banger. And then, look, I get it, it's a popular pick, but this song is one of the biggest songs of all time for a reason, because it's really good. It's Crazy Train.
Let me go ahead and pop in here. So I'm going to do I have 2 honorable mentions. First one's going to be, well, I suppose it doesn't really matter, but I'm just going to go with Crazy Train. It's an honorable mention. It's probably number 2 or number 1, right? But I've heard this song 850 centillion times. So I'm just whatever. After the first listen through of this record, I skip that song every time. Straight to a better song. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. So my other honorable mention is Revelation. I think that's a great
song.
A great song. Yeah. So number 3 is going to be I Don't Know. Number 2 is going to be Goodbye to Romance. And number 1, come on, dog, Mr. Crowley, all the fucking way.
Wow. So no Suicide Solution anywhere, huh?
Yeah. I'm honestly more of a No Bone Movies when it comes to those 2 tracks.
You're a No Bone Movies truther.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, look, that's not really to say that Suicide Solution is bad at all. I think it might be at the bottom of my list.
So I'll pop in here. So my honorable mention is Goodbye to Romance.
There you go.
I came around on that song. I went from being like why isn't this an Elton John song to like, okay, I appreciate, okay, like I started just singing the chorus like constantly every time it came on. So it's an honorable mention. Number
guitar solo, man.
Yeah, number 3 is I Don't Know. It's a great song. I love that song. Number 2 is Crazy Train, and I know that's like I feel like that's a very simpleton, low hanging fruit answer, but like it is what it is. I love the song. Like the 1-2 punch with I Don't Know and Crazy Train is just like, God, it's so good. And I agree with Adrian here. I think it's not even close. I think Mr. Crowley is like it's way up here beyond my camera, and then like Crazy Train is like right here. Like I think Mr. Crowley is just up there.
So what is it for you 2 guys? I don't want to step on Jason if he's going to have Crowley as number 1 as well, but like, okay, good. So what is it about that song for you guys that makes it number 1? I mean, I know it's got fucking all-time guitar solo in it, but like what else?
I'd say the 2 guitar solos. I mean, the vibe of the song, the fucking intro. I feel like I sing it. Yeah, like I sing. I think this is a song I know the fucking words to. Like, and I never do that. So I mean, it's just a song that, again, I think it makes me the happiest when it comes on.
So it's funny. I also I agree with Adrian for different reasons. I agree that it's a vibe thing, but I think this is the most like evil sounding song on the record. This is the like. This is the vibe I want Ozzy in like all the time.
This is like the only like occult song on the record. Yeah.
Like that to me is like
worshiper.
Like that to me is Ozzy at his best, and I just wish. Well, I mean he did what he did, but like I just wish he would have more often played in his wheelhouse. Because I just feel like, well, for me selfishly, I think I would have enjoyed more of his music.
I kind of think that his wheelhouse is kind of like the hits that we all know. But I mean, in reality, this being the first album, I mean, all this shit is the wheelhouse,
Yeah.
Before I get into, I just want to like while we're talking about this, because I don't know the answer.
I don't know.
Is it hard for someone like Ozzy to say get into his wheelhouse when he has somebody else writing all the lyrics.
Ooh.
I mean,
I don't
it
know.
could be.
I don't know if that's over his entire career, because I don't know.
I know Geezer Butler. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
Josh.
No, Geezer wrote all the lyrics for Sabbath. I mean, Ozzy doesn't. I mean, even today, he doesn't really write the lyrics for like his songs. So, I mean, I think, is it hard for him to get in his wheelhouse? I mean, ultimately, he's the guy who leads the band, so he can look at Bob Daisley or he can look at Geezer or whoever and be like, "Hey, dude, like write something different."
Gotcha.
You know, or change the vibe. Or he could look at Tony or Zach or Randy and be like, "Hey, that's a little too upbeat for me. Let's take it down a couple of notches on the tempo."
That's what I was curious about. I was just like, like for Dave, like he likes a certain style of Ozzy for the more doom. But it's like, well, if it's not up to Ozzy, because I don't know the dynamics, it could just be, hey, look, this is what I want it to do, make it work.
I think Ozzy. I mean, it's like, look, even though it's Ozzy's name on the record, right? Like, it was a band when he started. It wasn't just really Ozzy. It was the Blizzard of Ozz. So it was still treated like a band. So I mean, these were the best songs that Randy showed up with, right?
Gotcha.
That I think made the record. But later on, it became Ozzy Osbourne and his band, and then I'm sure it went into more of a managerial style.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so my top three, it did switch. I did have just like the greatest hits, 3, 2, 1. But number 3 became an honorable mention. So honorable mention to Mr. Crowley. I think I've overheard that song growing up, going to bars all the time. That was always played on the jukebox, and I just don't think I have like the same fondness for it anymore. But the song did come around, which was shocking to me. So my number 3 song is Revelation. The back half of that song is so good.
God
damn it, it's so good.
Like that
the
song
first part
starts.
is not bad.
That song starts at 5 minutes, and it's so good.
The first part of the song is not bad. It's just that back half of that song is so good.
God, it's so good.
So it became my number 3. Number 2, Crazy Train, all-time classic. Number 1 is I Don't Know. It is a classic song. It is got a great bass line, and for me, it's perfect for Ozzy's voice.
Yeah.
I am shocked at the lack of love for Suicide Solution. That I would not have predicted that for everybody.
It's right in the middle of the pack for me.
I think it is the best of the rest for me, of the ones I didn't name.
I wonder if it would change your mind. There's a sick live version on a live Ozzy record where Randy does just a nasty little guitar solo with it. Like the whole show stops and he just rips off a solo for a little bit. I don't know. That might have colored my my opinion on it, but let's move into audio production here. This is actually it's listed as a self-produced record here, so it's Ozzy, Randy, Bob Daisley, and Lee Kerslake producing the record. So
I'll jump in. I think it's fine.
Yeah,
I think it's absolutely fine. I think this is one.
Were we doing the 2002 version of this, or this is like the newer remaster?
This is
I
the
think
newer.
I saw it. I thought it might have been ways like newer than 2002.
Well, yeah, it's definitely not the 2002 reissue because that has Rob Trujillo and Mike Borden on it.
So
this
2020 reissue from the 40th anniversary.
Yeah, this is the
They
original
put
members
back on the record.
Yes.
Oh,
I thought it sounded fantastic.
Yep.
All
I
the way
think
across
it's.
the board.
I think all the instruments are clear. I think this is a textbook 80s production done right.
so
All right.
it is a textbook 80s production, especially for the time. I do feel like something's weird about the pitch of the guitar, but I mean, I've already associated Randy Rhoads' sound with that, so like I don't really care. But I do think it's odd. But it's from what is this, 81, 82?
1980.
80. Oof. Yeah. So it is what it is.
I mean, look, it sounds better than Killing Is My Business, that's for sure. All right, let's move in here to Legacy. This is where we actually score the record here. So just give everybody a little bit of insight. When we're scoring the record, a lot of other publications and people out there would say that their average score is a 7. For us, our average score starts at a 5. So anything that's below a 5, we would give that various levels of. We would not recommend it, like Venom or Emperor. Or
Hey,
things
whoa,
like that.
Whoa.
Anything over 5 and upwards to a 10 is various levels of we certainly would recommend it, where anything 9 to 10 is absolute legend status.
Yeah.
So who wants to score their record first?
I'll go first.
I'll go for it, Dave.
I'll go first because that way Josh has time to get over it. So
I have time to adjust my score to get it to the proper score it should be. Yeah.
Yeah. So for context, and I can provide this information to anybody who wants it. I gave the previous Ozzy record we reviewed, Diary of a Madman, 6.9, which is still a recommended
I just got
score.
mad all over again.
For reference, that is still a B tier score for us. Okay, so I just want that to be clear. I enjoyed this one more, even though Josh. I remember when this whole thing started, Josh was sure I would enjoy Diary more. I just think, I guess for whatever reason, I just thought the songwriting on this one was just a little bit stronger. I think the songs that I liked on this one were just way stronger and carried the record. I thought it was very good. But it's not something I would just pull out and jam. Whatever. I'm at a 7.2.
All right. Let me pop in here.
That's a good score.
I told myself I wasn't going to get mad at the start of this, but it's not looking good right now.
That's a full point higher than Power Slave.
What is a 7.2 like grade wise?
That is a B plus.
Okay. What did I give Diary?
You gave Diary an 8.9.
Ooh, fuck. Interesting. Okay, so I did I do this thing, and it's just with myself. And when we first came out with this list, I was like, I made my grades just on the albums that I was already familiar with. Like, before we even started number 50, I was like, this is my current score. Let's see how it changes, right? So for me, this album was at a 9. I do think I like it way fucking more than Diary. So I wanted to drop this to an 8. I really did. But I'm gonna go ahead and keep it at a 9. I'm gonna keep this shit hype. Look, this isn't metal to me. It just isn't. But I love this fucking record. So it's on this. There's other albums on this fucking list that we have that aren't metal. So I'm not gonna fucking complain about it. Yeah, I'm sticking with my 9.
All right, I'll go next. Dave, what did I give Diary?
A 7 even. You gave it that pity 7.
Yeah, no. I will say that this is a tough album because, somewhat to Dave's point, the hits are so big. But I do think that Diary is slightly better overall, and I just mean by in totality of the songs, because when I was looking at the scores that I gave for that album, overall they're lower.
All right, just give it a 6.9 and let's go. Come on.
6.9. That's what I was giving.
How did you know?
Because he has context, I guess. All right. So
all right, listen. Diary of a Madman is the best Ozzy record ever made. It still is after this week. Although I haven't spent like a ton of time with Blizzard over the last couple of years, like listening to the whole thing all the way through every single time. So it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I gave Diary a 9.3. I'm going to come in with Blizzard at a 9.1.
All right, Josh. Hey, you'll be proud. You brought that score brings this into an A tier for us. So
as it should.
So 8.05 is the average score, and look, that is on the upper end of our scores. Okay.
What is it? What is it right behind?
What's in its company even?
Yeah. So like Master Reality is an 8.03. So that's like right there.
Why do you have to hit me with that first?
Painkiller is above this at an 8.33.
As it should be.
Diary of a Madman is also an 8.03, so this just edged out Diary.
I definitely quit now.
Operation Mindcrime got a higher score. Death Human got a higher score. It has the exact same score as Death Symbolic.
Is Painkiller the only album we've universally liked?
Well, and Justice for All.
Okay.
Justice for All still is the highest scoring album on the list, just under a 9.
What about Mindcrime? I mean, if it's up there, Jason had to give it a good score.
Yeah, 8.38.
Anyway.
Well, like the three of us, like really loved it. Jason gave it a 6.8 because he's dumb.
Oh my god, what a chode.
Now we love Jason. Yeah.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
So look, this is a very high scoring record. We're 4 individuals with I'm learning much different musical tastes in the realm of metal. So,
well, here's what I do know is I know Jason won't be giving this next record a 6.9. Next record on the list here, number 5. This is Megadeth's magnum opus, Rust in Peace.
Can't wait to hear it for the first time.
Fucking great record. Can't wait to listen to it again. Hey, hope you guys liked the video. If you did, go ahead and hit the like, hit the subscribe. We're putting out weekly metal content. We got metal reactions, metal reviews. We're going to be cycling through some metal lists coming up here. It's going to be fun. So all kinds of good shit going on. And in the meantime, live long and prosper.
Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.
Later.